Bim bam bim 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 bam bim 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 bam shiri biri biri bim bam bim 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 bam bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat. Thank you, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom, everyone. It is so good to see all of you here in the sanctuary at 5200 Old Mill Road, and those of you who are joining us from all over the place on Zoom. Together, all of us are making a unique and special holy community. There's never been a gathering exactly like this one. So it is special indeed. And part of the reason it is so special, Shabbat, of course, right? But also this is a very special Shabbat for our community and for the family of Evan Wallet, who becomes bar mitzvah on this Shabbat. And so I am extra pleased to welcome all of you who are visiting us because you are Evan's people. We're so glad to have you with us, and if this is your first time, or if it's been a while since you have been to a Shabbat service, our book opens the other way. You'll figure out what I mean by that. You are welcome to participate in anything that we are doing tonight. You can use the words. You can use the Hebrew words. You can use the Hebrew words that are written in English letters. Or you can look and reflect on the English interpretations of our prayers. And let's see, what else do you need to know? Oh yes, out that door and across to the lobby past where you came in, you will find 2 restrooms. You can pick the one that works best for you. It's available for you. And I'm going to ask right now would be a great time, if you have a cell phone or any device that makes noise, why don't you go ahead and check it and make sure that it's not going to make any noise, because we wouldn't want you to feel embarrassed if it goes off. It happens once in a while, and it's okay, but why do it if we don't have to? Our service will continue on page 128. Page 128. Let us sing our gathering song from Psalm 133, Hine Matov, how good it is for us to be together. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achiot gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achiot gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achiot gam yachad. How good it is for all of us to be together tonight, to celebrate joyous moments and to welcome Shabbat. We are going to continue with Psalm 130. And on your way in, you probably got a goldenrod, a taupe, a yellowish, beigeish piece of paper, and you will find the words from Psalm 95 on the top of that page. In English, we're singing, "Let us sing and rejoice to God. Let us raise a shout to God, our rock and redeemer." Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, naria, yai lai 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 lai, letzur yishenu, yai lai 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, naria, yai lai 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 lai, letzur yishenu, yai lai 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 lai, for all of the wonder in all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our heart to hear God's voice. Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, naria, yai lai 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 lai, letzur yishenu, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. We're going to continue on page 134. Page 134 with the words of Psalm 99. Psalm 99. We're actually going to start in the middle of the psalm with the words Zamru l'Adonai, sing praise to Adonai. And I'm going to be offering an arrangement of this that we've not done here before. It is written by Paul Zim and arranged by Siki Berry. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, bechatzotzot v'kol shofar, hari lifnei hamelech Adonai. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, בחצוצות וקול שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני. ירם הים ומלוא, תבל ויושביה, נהרות ימחאו יחד, הרים יראינו. ירם הים ומלוא, תבל ויושביה, נהרות ימחאו אף יחד, הרים יראינו. Now it is my pleasure. We have a tradition here, and that is we put the bar mitzvah to work on the day before their big service on Saturday. And so it is now my distinct pleasure to invite Mr. Evan Wallet to the Bima. Yeah, now's the time. And I'm going to invite all of you to turn to page 127 page 127. And Evan, I'm going to make room for you, Evan. Come on over here. Evan is going to lead us in the responsive reading at the top of the page. So he'll start, and then you'll come after him.
There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain.
On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share.
There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we care nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace.
Good job. All right, you can have a seat for a second. And we will continue and prepare for the arrival of Shabbat. I'd like you to take the yellow handout again. And as we prepare to enter this special time of Shabbat, the first gift that God gave to creation was the day that God rested. And as we prepare to embrace Shabbat, let's take a moment and consider where we are and where we've been this week as we prepare to go into Shabbat. You'll find at the bottom of the page some questions to consider for yourself. Here's the first one. This week was a beautiful week. Consider for yourself the beauty of this week. May you hold on to that beauty throughout Shabbat. Let's move to the second question. This was a difficult week. Think about those moments of difficulty today, yesterday, anytime in this past week, things that were hard for you. May you find the burden of these difficulties lightened for you as you enter Shabbat. The last one for each of you. This Shabbat, what do you want this Shabbat to be for you? May the beauty and joy of this week carry you and give you the strength to let go of those things that were difficult that maybe you don't need to carry anymore. And may you make this Shabbat a Shabbat of joy and a Shabbat of peace. I'd like to invite Wendy and Josh and Isabella and Ethan to the Bima. And I'd like to invite the rest of you to turn to page 120. Oh yeah, you too. Yeah, join your family. Go to page 120, and we're going to, the Wallet family is going to light the candles of Shabbat, the official moment that Shabbat begins for us, and we will share in the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you. Let us turn now to page 138. With the Shabbat candles aflame, lighting us, guiding us on our way. Now we're actually able to move into Shabbat. And for that moment of entry into Shabbat. The rabbis of Sfat provide us this prayer, this song, this poem, Lecha Dodi. For them, returning to Shabbat each week is like a reunion with the beloved. In this case, they talk about a bride. But for us, it can be any person, any people, anyone that gives us that little excitement when we see them, that feeling of unending love. That is the feeling the rabbis want to remind us of as we return to Shabbat. We will sing verses 1, 5, and 9. And when we get to the 9th verse, we will rise and turn to the open door in the back and send our Shabbat joy out into the world, because there's a lot of joy needed out there in the world tonight. Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi. Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Ishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shemu tiferet ve'itila Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela Hitoreri Kiva ore kumiori Ori shidaberi Kevod Adonai alaik nida Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela Shaboi v'shalom ateret bala Gam besimcha uvetzola Toch emunei am segula Boi chala Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela. Take a moment and wish Shabbat Shalom to all those around you. And some faces you might not have seen before or in a while. And when you're done with that, turn around and face Samara in the back and let us greet and wish Shabbat Shalom to those who are joining us online. Wherever we are all together. We are all connected in Shabbat. And now I would like to invite Evan to join me back here. And we are going to continue on page 144 with the Chatzi Kaddish. Amen. Bechaye onu yomechon uvchaye de kol Beit Israel bagala uvizman kari Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'alam u'al me'al maya yitbarach.
Yitbarach, v'yishabach, v'yitba'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal. Shemei Kudashah,
Barichu
Ve'alamin kol birchata v'shirata.
tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma.
V'imru.
Amen. Let us turn the page and we'll continue with Baruchu.
Ya la 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 la
Lai
la.
lai, ya la lai 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 ya lai lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai lai ya lai 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 lai. Baruch et Adonai. Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Haed Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. You're going to continue here. We're going to turn to page 149. Page 149, and Evan will lead us in the prayer at the top of the page.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama-avir arami.
Amen. We will continue on page 104, page 151. Page 151. And Evan and I will lead us together in the prayer at the bottom of the page. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Israel. Please turn the page and please rise as you are able for Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. This is your God. Page 234. We will continue on page 234. Give them a moment to find it. Page 234. Wait. Okay, go ahead.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele
Asher anochi mitzvavecha hayom alevavecha eshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam
בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Please turn the page.
Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Israel v'amarta alehem, vasu lachem tzitzit, al kanfei vigdehem l'dorotam, v'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf p'til techelet, v'chaya lachem, l'tzitzit uritem oto, usartem ekol mitzvot Adonai, vasitem otam, Lo taturu acharei lavem v'acharei enechem asher temzonim acharechem.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem emet.
Awesome. Excellent job. How did it feel doing this?
Fine.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. Now, there's kind of a cool thing about what you just did and tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
If you liked this, come back tomorrow. You're gonna go, oh wow, mind blowing. There's a really cool connection between the prayer that Evan just led us in and his Torah portion, which we'll hear tomorrow. If you look in the footnotes, you might know what I'm talking about. So I have one question to ask you, and we did not rehearse this at all. So this is spontaneous, Evan. I like to ask people just like you on the night before their bar mitzvah, tell me one really important thing. It doesn't have to be the most important thing, just an important thing that you learned through this whole process of preparing to become a bar mitzvah.
Does it have to be?
It can be anything you liked, anything that was cool, anything that was fun. You got to learn about Torah. You got to spend time with your tutor you worked with for a year. You got to work with your family to get ready. So what do you think?
It was really.
It was really awesome. You're smiling. Okay, so let me see. So, what advice would you give? Would you give a bar mitzvah student? Here it is. Be ready for the rabbi to ask you a question, and then write it down ahead of time. But I didn't tell you. So anyway, you are doing a great job. This young man is so ready for what's coming tomorrow. So thank you for everything you're doing tonight, and thank you for being so prepared.
Thank you.
All right, you can have a seat and you can relax. You can have a seat down there. Our service will continue on page 159. And I got to thank you one more time, Evan. You did a really good job. Page 159. As we prepare to sing Micha Mocha, our people's prayer of redemption, I'd like to offer this reflection first. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles and earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Micha Mocha. Yai lai lai ya lai 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 ya lai yai lai lai ya lai 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 yai lai ya lai ya lai 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 ya lai yai lai 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 ya lai 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 lai.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei yam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zelianu ve'amru, zelianu ve'ameru. Adonai imloch leolam vaed. Adonai imloch leolam vaed. Yai lai lai ya lai 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 ya lai lai. Yai lai lai ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai lai. Yai lai lai lai. Ya lai 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 lai.
Let us turn to page 162. Let us join together at the top of the page with Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat. As one of the early founders of the state of Israel said of Shabbat, more than the Jewish people has kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jewish people. Vishamru. Veshamru v'nei Israel et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Israel et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam. B'nei Uvein, B'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam. Let us turn the page. In a moment, we will begin the Amidah, the prayer that the rabbis called Hatefillah, the prayer, because they knew exactly which one it was, and so did everybody else. As we pray the Amidah, it is basically a series of blessings. And I'd like us to take a moment in preparation to consider the blessings you are feeling in your kishkas tonight. With those blessings at the top of our minds and in our hearts, we'll begin on page 164, and we will continue on the even pages through page 170. Please rise as you are able. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei
Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, v'Hanora, El Elyon, Kol Mel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Gula Livnei V'nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hoseh u'Moshiach u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalchel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim berofech cholim, Umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'kol yom yahalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We continue in silent prayer. We turn to page 180. At the bottom of the page, you'll find Oseh Shalom, our prayer for peace. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav,
hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru Amen. Let us turn now to page 371. We have come to the time when we pray for those who are in need of healing of body or of mind or of spirit, and for their caregivers. After I read our community's Misha Barach list, I'll invite you to add the names of anyone you are praying for, and we will add our prayers to yours. We pray for the healing of Ruth Bloom, Andrew Bosell, Pircha Batbracha, Adolf Breitman, Adrienne Breitman, Roberta Butts, Todd Crego, Bonnie Kruba, Tony Ficaro, Monique Lynch, Kaylin Nagel, Tom O'Neill, Debbie Charay, Gary Smythe, Rivka Swedler, John Tam, Annie Trotter Gurnedy. And to these names we add Dale, Jan, Jack, Sarah. Let us offer a Misha Barach for healing, which you'll find in the middle of page 371. Misha Barach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe berach imotenu, mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. This week, we read from Parashat Shalach Lecha in the book of Numbers. And tomorrow morning, I will have the privilege of calling Evan to the Torah as a bar mitzvah, and we will hear him read from this parasha. And you will have the privilege of hearing Evan teach from his verses. And let me tell you, you are all in for a treat when you hear what this bright and thoughtful young man has to say. Because Evan has us so abundantly well covered for this week's Torah portion, I will turn my attention to another important matter and to another important text from the Hebrew Bible. This has been a difficult day and a difficult week for justice in America. Yesterday, the United States Supreme Court released a decision that is a step backwards for reducing gun violence. And today, the court released the expected decision that overturned Roe versus Wade and has set the clock back half a century
for reproductive justice in America. For many, today is a day of profound sadness, of resignation, of hopelessness, a day of seeing the work of generations undone with a single decision. It is a day of lament. The Hebrew Bible has in it a container to hold our people's sorrow and grief. I will read from the beginning of the book of Lamentations, also called Echa in Hebrew. Alas, lonely sits the city, once great with people. She was great among nations, and she has become like a widow. The princess among states is becoming a thrall. Bitterly she weeps in the night, her cheek wet with tears. There is none to comfort her of all her friends. All her allies have betrayed her. They have become her foes. Of these verses, the sages of the Talmud teach, with regard to the verse, how she has become like a widow, Rav Yehuda said, this is for a blessing. The verse states that Jerusalem is like a widow, but is not an actual widow. Rather, Jerusalem is like a woman whose husband has gone to a country overseas. Without her husband by her side, she is likened to a widow, and yet he intends to return to her. Here, she is Jerusalem, a city whose inhabitants were driven out into exile. And according to Rav Yehuda, this book of Echa, of Lamentations, is libracha, full of hope. Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, is not an actual widow. Rather, her husband went away on a journey with plans to return. Rav Yehuda likens Echa with blessing and a hopeful future. Embedded in Lamentations is the hope of future blessing. Today, my colleague, Rabbi Daniel Bogard, wrote, at moments like this, when the flames of justice and hope can feel like they're flickering out, there is an ironic comfort in Jewish history and in its reminder that progress moves in waves and currents, and that every pharaoh that rises will invariably fall, even those pharaohs who garb themselves in stolen robes of justice. 2,000 years ago, Rabbi Tarfon looked out at his world and saw his people devastated by generations of Roman occupation and destruction. He saw justice subverted at every turn by a politics determined to bend the will to its people, to bend the people to its will. And he lived in a reality where real substantive reform and change was the project of generations, with no illusion that the work could be accomplished in a lifetime. And yet, Rabbi Tarfon looked out at the insurmountable task of repairing a world starving for dignity and made us swear that no matter how hard the work, no matter how impossible it might seem to sway the currents of history, we must never stop trying. Perhaps this will be familiar to you. You are not obligated to complete the work, he said to us nearly 2,000 years ago. But how dare you even think of desisting from it? I'm holding on to Rabbi Tarfon today as I hold back tears while thinking of the world our children are inheriting from us. I'm trying to remind myself that despondency is no justification for nihilism, that we were created just for this moment and just for this work, and that the generations yet to come are counting on us to do the slow, often dispiriting task of building the world that our grandchildren deserve. From the poetry of Leonard Cohen, we sing, "Ring the bells that still can ring, forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." My colleague from the great city of Minneapolis, Rabbi Aaron Winiger, inspired me today as he called out in strength and in hope. To the Supreme Court, religious liberty is for the Jews too. You may choose to trample on our Torah, our bodies, and our souls, but we will choose to teach compassion, protect injustice, and love fiercely. To the Supreme of Supremes, Holy One, be with us to mourn and fight and recommit every day to your world that is waiting for us to rebuild. Let us keep striving for your vision. And to all of us, let us rest on this Shabbat night and in the Shabbat morning. And let us rise the next day to continue the work. Shabbat Shalom. I'd now like to invite Kathy Sider to the Bima. She's going to be offering us some announcements. Let's see if there's one that's not on here that I can warm you all up with. Let's see. We are playing Mahjong on Monday evenings and on Thursday afternoons. You could, but Monday evenings is canceled for, you know what? I should never freelance. Kathy is here. You are in good hands. There you go.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to the temple. I'd just like to highlight a few announcements. Welcome to those of you here in person and those joining us online. Thank you to Nola Katinsky, Wendy Stoltz, and Joanne McCrory for making this month's challah. Artist George Morrison is looking for volunteers to assist with the installation of the courtyard of the Math Rothschild Resource Center. The dates and times vary. If you would like to help, you can call the temple office or email the temple office. And if you do come to help out, please wear old clothes because the glue used in the project is permanent. And if you want to go out and see it, you can see it. It's on the way to the resource center in the courtyard. It's coming along. We're looking for volunteers to usher at Shabbat services as we have opened the building more and more and are receiving guests at the temple, and ushers provide an amazing service to these people. Please contact the temple office or Mike Rush if you're interested. Mazel tov to Evan Wallen and his family on his bar mitzvah this weekend. And special thank you to Ellen Tom, myself, Leslie Cohen, and Jacob Cohen for ushering this weekend. And thank you to the CAV staff and security as always. For more information, just check the temple website and weekly emails for updates and the Facebook page. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Kathy. So on the way to the Oneg tonight, which I hear is going to be super amazing. On the way to the Oneg, you can, as you look to your left, you can see the sculpture in progress. It's very close to being done, and so you get a really good sense of what it's how it's shaping up, and then you can join us for a lovely Oneg. Our service will continue. It's not stopping. I obviously need to go to community college and take an AP class. What was I saying? Oh, yes, our service is going to continue on page 586. Please rise as you are able for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoe haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamona. Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad ushemo echad. You may be seated. We have come to the time when we remember those who have died either recently or in this season in years past. I invite you to turn to page 598. In a moment, we will recite the mourner's Kaddish. But first, I will read our community's Kaddish list. And when I come to the end of the list, I'll invite you to share the names of anyone you are remembering this Shabbat so that we may remember with you. This Shabbat continues the period of Shana, the death within the past year of Marvin Crystal, Vicky Sowers, Jennifer Cohen, Dr. Jerry Lesson, Norman Philip Nachum Pincus, Ethel Schnitt. This Shabbat marks the Yartzeit, the anniversary of death of Samuel C. Blumenthal, Dale Chambers, Stanley D. Cohn, Ruth Davis, Lisa Deitch, Yitzhak Falk, Rebecca Farhi, Joseph Finkelman, Jean King Fishbein, Betty W. Golden, Ann Golder, Sarah Hirsch, Morris Hyman, Louise Marcus, Samuel Milstein, Nathan Mull, Harold B. Price, Herta Rosanas, George Sandel, Martin Schwartz, Isaac Schwartz, Esther Smith, Tilly Spire, Max Sposeep, Doris M. Sposeep, Hyman G. Steiber, Emmanuel Strass, Becky Weinberg, Florence Weinberg, Rosa Wertheimer, Etta Hoffman Zussman. And to these names we add for all these names and the names we carry in our hearts, the names of those who perished in the Shoah and all senseless wars, most recently in the Ukraine, and for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. I invite you to please rise as you are able as we recite Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach charutei ve'amlu chalchutei, v'chayachon u'vyomachon u'chayed kol beit Israel, bagalau v'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mavarach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'ishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitnoram v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'yirshirata, Tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'elma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbi min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. After we finish our service in just a moment, please join us in the resource center. You will go out that door, keep walking past the front door that you came in, hang a right, take a look at the sculpture on your way, pick up a piece of challah and a little bit of kiddush, that will be there for you. Yeah, okay, someone's giving me a message. And then continue on into the Resource Center. We've got some good eats. So to close our service, let us turn now to page 626. Page 626, and let us join together in Ein Keloheinu. 626. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let's go, Oneg.